You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. Mrs. Walker.
What's up, Mr. Walker?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
I'm feeling really amazing, like really good, or not even any like super asshole-y comments could make me feel any kind of way.
You put
My
the shield
day's
up.
really been that good.
Super dope. Got a question for you.
What's that?
How is entrepreneurial life treating you?
Ooh, entrepreneur life has been treating me, I guess it's a little different on each note. Some days it's like, oh, is this what it is? Is this what it's like? This is nice. And then some days it's like, oh shit, how do people do this?
That's actually a real thing. That's pretty dope. Is it a build on question to that? Is it everything that you thought it was going to be? Is it none of what you thought it was going to be, or is it just kind of going?
That's a fucking loaded ass question as well, because it is very much everything that I thought and more, and plus, I would say, because I don't come from an entrepreneurship type of background. I've never known a lot of people who were in business, started their own business. I wasn't raised around that. I wasn't raised around people who even worked hard, right? So to me, my motto was always just hustle and work hard.
Gotcha.
So getting into the entrepreneurship lifestyle was something different. Like, I didn't understand the freedom that you can have at times, and then the restraints that you have, you know. I know when we first started the business, you're like, just for 6 months, we're going to grind it out, right? And I was like, okay, I could do this. But you didn't say all day, every day for 6 months.
No, it was very general. It was a very general, like, just give me 6 months.
Yeah, like I can work 6 days. It's for 6 hours or 7 hours each day, or, you know, I can work 8 hours, or it's like, oh no, you're talking about working like 24 fucking hours.
All day, all night.
Go home, come back again. I was like, I remember being like, how come those people are going home? We're like, well, babe, they have their operation together.
That is hilarious, because that was your exact question.
Yeah.
When we first started. You're just like, why does it seem like we work harder than everybody else? It's like, well, we're babies. We're babies in this.
And we'll be there. We'll be there soon. And we did. But I'm also learning that, which with each step, there's more, right?
And when, as you say that you're learning, it's not like you're going to school. There's no classes. I say this all the time. There's no, you can't go to school for this shit, right? And when people say like, oh, I want to run or I want to do my own business, then it's like, yo, by all means, definitely. And then we've had conversations about the difference between being self-employed, entrepreneur, business owner. There's different categories, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, you wasn't grown or grew up around anybody like that. Me too. I'm in the same boat. I didn't grow up around anybody that was either of those. They wasn't self-employed, they wasn't entrepreneurs, and they wasn't business owners. So it wasn't like you could see like, oh, well, this is how such and such did it, or this is how my auntie saved money because. But everybody was hustling. There was always hustles because people were working 2 and 3 jobs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they worked hard, but in the sense of to the bones of their fingers and elbow grease.
Yeah, and it's the benefit part. That's the part that I didn't see. I think that a lot of times people say like, well, people with money or, rich people here or there, they do this or they do that. But it's without seeing the hard work that they put in, or the benefits from they're just reaping the benefits from that hard work, right?
1,000%.
And then people look and say, well, it's not fair because they're kind of kicking back, and but it's like, shit, man, you bust your ass to make these things happen, and then you get to reap the benefits.
Yeah, 1,000%. And it's funny that you say that, because even like our employees look at us and they were like, you guys work a lot. Like, you guys are not like regular owners. We got emails. I mean, well, you in particular, I don't do it often. My emails are more late at night. Yours are like first thing, like before the rooster crows.
Yeah.
Like you're flying emails out of 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's true.
My email's usually 11 midnight.
Yep.
You know, and it's crazy how, and to me, I think it works well because I'm not a very early in the morning kind of person, and my brain don't start sparking like yours in the morning. Like you wake up thinking about shit.
Yeah, it's true.
Me, I'm like, I can't go to bed without knocking
Letting
this
it
out.
all out. Yeah. That's true.
So that's funny how all that, you know, kind of corresponds and comes together. And to me, I mean, at what point do you have that sit back moment? You know what I mean? For every entrepreneur, every, you know, depending on what industry you in, is different. It's, you know, some entrepreneurs work 10, 15, 20 years before they could kick back. You know, other entrepreneurs could kick back maybe in 3 years. You know, me personally, I've been an entrepreneur since 2017. That's when I stepped out on my own, and by all means, I am in no position to kick back. You know what I mean? Like there's no kickback. Yes, I do have the freedom of control of my schedule, but at the same time, my schedule also means that I have to be disciplined. I think that's the biggest thing that, you know, people really need to understand is discipline is everything.
Yeah, because then when you say the whole like being kickback type, right? Now, you can kick back for a week, you can kick back for a day, like, but for us, I mean, even a day, you know, like I was caught up on everything for a day, and I was like, yes, and then I woke up and it was like, oh shit. Yeah. It was like 7 fires and a ton of emails. I looked to see like, damn, the last email I felt comfortable and had all done, that was like 30 emails ago, and that was yesterday. So now today it's a little different. And then definitely the organizing. As long as you organize everything, I think that's important. And like you said, told me like one of the first things you taught me when we got into, or when I joined you, was to do the money making things first, right? So it's like once I do all those things, then I feel like, okay, anything that would create income or revenue, then I feel good about that.
That's
and I
always
can
top priority.
I could step back and then that's my little break. But yeah, very much organizing. An analogy that I always used to use, and I still use, is the pots burning on the stove.
That is probably one of my favorite that you use, because when you said it, I was like I pictured it in my head, and I was like, oh shit, like, because I even, like, it almost sounded like a cartoon. Yeah,
you could just see me changing out. If you guys if you could see me, you'd see me like just moving all the pots around. Because, you know, you got some that's simmering, but that simmer's almost done. You got to mix it just a little bit so it gets thick and not burnt, you know. And then you got the other rice, you know, and it's almost done, but it's not. But if you leave it too long, it'll be mushy. But if you take it off too soon, it's gonna be hard, you know. But it's like, damn it, you know. And then you got the oil, and it's ready to put that fish or whatever you got in there. But if you put it in too soon, it's gonna be oily, and if you don't put it in, then it's gonna be burnt. So it's like, oh my gosh, like it's like, it's my HR, it's, you know, it's recruiting, and then it's like operations, it's all kinds of things, but you just got to keep your eyes on them. And I think the best entrepreneurs, they learn to balance them, and then they learn even better how to train someone else to balance the different parts of it.
Yeah, 1000%. You know, I talked to a gentleman not too long ago. He was 69 years old, and he owned a franchise, and it was in San Diego. Here in San Diego, owns a franchise, owns 2 franchises actually, same company, right? But he has two locations, one in LA, one in San Diego. And at 69 years old, this is like, he's not your entrepreneur that's been working for 20, 40 years. He's your entrepreneur that went into being an entrepreneur for retirement basis. So he worked 40 years corporate company, corporate job, 40 years, did what he was supposed to do, retired comfortably, and then purchased a franchise for his kids. And then when I heard that, I was like, well, how's that working out? And he's like, I can't stand it. and in most regards, it's because of the current environment, right? If, like, we did a whole podcast on the hiring crisis, right? And we talked about retention and trying to gain good people that will help you run your business. And that was his issue. His issue was having a good manager that he could trust and run the business, but he couldn't find that. So therefore, he was in there working 14-hour days, and his staff was pretty much like high school age, damn near. And so he spent a lot of time training and rebuilding. And, you know, if you really think about it, it's like, you talk about a good manager to run a franchise. What kind of experience, you know, is out there that would do that? For according to our podcast, people, if you got that kind of experience to run a franchise, then you out doing your own thing.
Yeah.
And at 69 years old, hell no, you don't want to be out there being a brand new entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I was just in a meeting today with a young lady who was a nurse. And I mean, a nurse is a big deal. To me, I would say, it's a good profession. But she got out of nursing to become a financial planner. And I was like, huh. And
that's like almost like your story, but okay.
Yeah. It is. I guess. But she said she's like, I'm never gonna leave my license. She's like, so she's kind of like depending on it. Like if anything happens, then she's got that.
Oh, so she still have her nurse license?
Yeah, she does.
So she didn't burn the bridge.
No, but for the last year, like everyone else, she's trying something different, right? So she's been allowed the opportunity because she has some cash probably made some well financial decisions, and then became a financial advisor. But yeah, so people just kind of quitting and moving on is what we're dealing with. But she stepped into the entrepreneurial world, and now she's going to make it a niche, right? So she has a nurse. Never knew about her 401k. It's something that they just she's like, they just set it up for me. They said they would match, and it's like, let's do it. So she's like, now I'm going to go back and help those people. Yeah. So it's like, okay.
Well, so she's actually being more self-employed then, because she don't have a team. Like, she has to do all the work.
Yes. Yes. So we'll talk about that, because I think you're right. People don't understand the difference, right?
Yeah. When you're self-employed, you do all the work. Even if you own your own coffee shop, if you have no other employees in your coffee shop, you're there morning, you open up and you close down, you're self-employed. Even though you have a brick and mortar location, but at the end of the day, I mean, and yeah, you're saving money because you don't have, employment taxes and things like that, workers' comp. There's a lot of ways. It's a lot of reasons why people stay self-employed. It saves money when you start talking about workers' comp, health insurance, and we'll actually do a podcast on this stuff because it's crucial, and a lot of people, it's scary almost. And I mean, when I remember we first got into, healthcare and learning about that, my eyes was just rolling like 18 times around my head. I was like, what? What is it?
Workers' comp, all that.
I think I asked you the same question every single month. I was like, hold up, babe. Because my question was always, how much are we paying for this?
Yes. And then you imagine me putting the numbers together. And oh, Lord, I put those numbers together 4 or 5 times. I'm like, okay. Then I turn them around and twist them up and do them again. And it's like, shit, same numbers.
Yeah, so that's that's a reason why people stay self-employed instead of going into the entrepreneur world, because there's different barriers that you have to break down once you become an entrepreneur. We have a friend that literally running his own business for 3 years, almost 3 years, and decided to go get a job as a CEO. Like, and now we got to make sure we understand this. Just because you're a CEO doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur, because CEOs, their bosses is the board. And if you're it doesn't necessarily have to be a public traded company. Any company, if they have a board, the CEO has to answer to that board.
Yeah, and he's going into a whole nother type of a situation. It's like, I don't know. But it shows me, and it made me realize, too, that I understood. Like, I was seeing all this revenue come in, right? It's like, oh, shit, like, we got money being made around here. I say, money being made around here. But then it's like, oh, wait. And you're like, no. That's revenue, and this is the profits. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's not about,
that's a different number.
It's not about what you make; it's about what you keep.
It's not about what you keep. I mean, what you cop is what you keep, right?
Yeah, and that's a good point, because most successful entrepreneurs are smart with money, and you have to be fiscally conservative. And what makes you an entrepreneur is you take what you've made and then you go and invest that eventually. Right? Fiscally conservative. Yeah.
Explain what that is.
So, for instance, in our wheelhouse, you cannot. I've told every single person on our team, you cannot make a purchase the last 10 days of the month. I don't care what, unless it's an operational need. And I mean, operational need means like we can't. Like we have to make this purchase in order to make money.
Yeah.
But if we ran out of paper, I don't give a shit. That's on you. Like, you shouldn't have ran out of paper.
Poor planning.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the fiscally conservative, is to make sure either at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, at the end of your fiscal year, that you tighten up your books. And I learned that in the corporate world. Like, the corporate world is what taught me that, because every season was something we had to get tighter, right? And that's the other thing too about being an entrepreneur, where we say, you don't learn you can't learn this in college. Like I have a business degree. My degree is in business administration, but just because I got a business degree, that don't teach you how to run a business. So when I was an employee for a major corporation, the responsibilities that I had helped me to understand and made a lot of sense of why they did it. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, when I was an employee, of course I complained, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, why they do it like this?
Yeah, it's different. It's different. The way that they feed it to you as the management is different than how they feed it, how they ask management to feed it to employees, right?
1,000%.
So it's like, in management, it's laid out to you, right? Because they want you to give it to them, eloquently, and then you're supposed to just tell the employee, like, this is just the way it is.
Yeah. But you know what? That's because I used to be always my gripe. It's like the corporation always leveraged the relationship that managers have with the employees to roll out whatever something is happening, right? So every corporation is not like that. Sometimes you hear stuff from, the C level. And when we say C level, CEO, COO, CFO, whoever the case may be. And there's some corporations that you don't see those guys or girls. So therefore, the message comes down, and it comes down to senior management. And senior management says, all right, here's to middle management. And middle management says, all right, give it to frontline management. And then frontline management is like, well, why the fuck do I got to deliver this bad news? And it just rolls out like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
That's true. And it's just at all, yeah.
Do you feel like there's a work-life balance in like, because you said, controlling your schedule, entrepreneurship is now that and some. Do you have a legit work-life balance?
I grab for it, and I try my hardest to have it as much as I possibly can. I would say that in the beginning there was none, and then I try to bring some in, and I think work-life balance is something different to other people, to everyone, right? Like, I want to be able to work and then live and just do things with my family, and also be able to have alone time or just me time, and then also like just be able to balance all of it together, So I think that because of the way that our schedules are, or the way that I've planned my schedule, where I have time in to study, time in to even meditate in the morning, then I believe that brings in balance. One thing that I don't put in enough of would be friendship time. I have a lot of friends 1,000%. Out there. I love you guys so much, and I don't feel like I don't spend enough girlfriend time. I don't spend enough sister time, mother time, daughter time. So in that sense, and when I start bringing it up like that, like, listen, I could spend a whole month just spending time with them, So it's the balance that you have to have. So just adding in something every now and then, it kind of makes me feel good. I would love to do it more, but then I think maybe that's not balance on the other side, Yeah. So I think I feel good about where my work-life balance is at this time.
Yeah. So 1,000%. If you did more, then something else is going to fall, right? Mm-hmm. Like, at the end of the day, we can't put pressure on ourselves like, oh, do more. As long as you're doing something. And nobody will ever be happy. It's like going to the gym more, right? Mm-hmm. Or eating better, or whatever the case. There's always more of something that you can do. Mm-hmm. But as long as you're doing something, then it's all right. But one thing I feel like with friendships is friendships also change, right? It's like, if you think about police officers, and we talked about this before, police officers hang out with police officers, then it's police talk, right? And that's all you talk about. I remember when I was a driver, I hung out with other drivers, and all we talked about was our routes, and we talked about the customers on our routes, and that was our, that's what brought us together. But now, as an entrepreneur, it's not like you're hanging out with it's not like a group of people that you're hanging out with, right? It's not like you go to work and then everybody goes to happy hour after work. You're in a boat by yourself. So when you go to happy hour, you're going to happy hour either with other entrepreneurs because of some network that you are part of, or your friends that that are still like hanging on to you because they feel like you haven't changed. And I'm calling y'all out that feel like we changed. But it's not many. It's not we change. It's just we got to put time in. Like, we legitimately have to put the time in to be worthy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, I recall when we first started getting really busy, and my sister's like, "Oh, can we go, to lunch?" And I'm like, let me look at my schedule. And And she's like, come on, like, when have we ever looked at schedules? And, you know, you're my sister. I should just be able to have lunch. But it really just doesn't work that way anymore for me. I literally, and I'm not like, oh, I'm so busy. Like, I'm not trying, and I understand because I heard people talk about those people. They're like, oh, she's just one of those so busy people. But I'm like, look at my schedule and you'll see. Like, I literally have no time, you know, and I'm going to put you in there, you know, and then I'm sorry if I can't stay and have like 3 glasses of wine, and then, you know, it goes over, and because it's like at 2:00 I kind of got something to do, you know. It does put you in a different position, especially with people, and that's why people will say that you changed, because before, you know, we used to meet on Sunday, have mimosas or wine or whatever, and we'd be out Sunday fun day all the way to the next, like, to way into the night, you know. It would be like a whole day just screwed, and there's no problem. But now it's like a whole day, like I don't know, you know. I literally have to plan a couple of months for that. And then
1,000%. Because and a part of that is you have a partner. Because I'll be looking at you like homie, was that part of your plan? Because if it wasn't part of your plan, then, you know, you put the business, not you put the business in jeopardy, but like your portion of the business, like, now things are going undone.
Right, which I wouldn't do.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, but like legit, you have to plan those. Like, we're going to Alaska in a couple months, and I just seen an email that said, when you're here for the week, it's meant for you to be here so you can recharge and do whatever, and and not work the whole time. So I'm giving you a heads up now that come June, you need to let go of everything. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool that they give you that heads up now, right? Yeah. So like you said,
prepare.
We need to plan and prepare so that for the week, you're all good, right? And the ship is not burning down.
Yeah. It's like, and then you have people with hoses just in case. You know what I mean? Like, but, you know, they got the hose. They'll be all right.
One of the coolest things I find about entrepreneurship is creating systems and processes and opportunity. You know, so when you think about systems and the processes, that's what gets the train rolling on its own. Right, because then when a train is rolling on its own, that means you're giving opportunity for other people to run this train and then take on responsibility and learn things, right? And that's the only way that, like when I was in corporate, like I said, it was the things that I've learned that helped me become an entrepreneur. So all of the systems and the process that we've created and that we put in place give opportunity for our managers and leadership team to take on, and then they could go eventually out and build their own thing and do the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, that's one of the things that I find the most enjoying about being an entrepreneur. It's not following somebody else's system anymore, but also paying homage. Like if it wasn't for that system and those opportunities, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm very grateful in that.
Yeah, I love when I'm thinking of a system and I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this, that? And then I look and it's like, oh, shit, there's already a system like that. Now let's just revamp it and make it like ours, you know? So, yeah, I love that part. Another part I love about being an entrepreneur is that there's these times where you have these super creative people that are on your team or fortunate enough to work with you, and they get stumped or they get in front of themselves, you know, where they can't get over it. And I love when I give them that like aha moment or that clarity, and they're just like, oh shit, what? Okay, like it was that easy now, you know. And then it's like, boom, now it's like the floodgates are open, and then they're just working and they're riding, and I love it. Yeah,
that sure is like that. I mean, honestly. Because the way you have meetings, like they come into our office, they sit on the couch, and it seems like a therapy. Like I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh man, is this a meeting or is this therapy? Like what's happening right now?" But it's super dope because they're super open, right? They're like, oh, this is what's going on, and you guys are having a conversation. And my meetings are not like that. So
yeah, my meetings always start off, and I think that's probably like a different, just because of who we are, even female versus male, but just personality as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always start, and my meetings are always on Mondays, so I always ask about the weekend, right? Because the ones that I'm speaking with, I haven't spoken to the whole weekend generally. So I want to know like how their weekend went. I want to know a little bit about their personal life so that we have a bit of a connection outside of work as well, right? So that they know that I do care about them as a person. And then I'm gonna get on your ass.
and then I unleash.
And I'm like, and then it's so funny if they're listening, and it's funny as well. But when I have something and I'm like, oh, I got something I know they're not gonna like, and I'm really gonna get on their ass. So then it's just like, okay, how are you? And like, you got anything for me? Like, no, okay. So it's like,
and for you to say getting on somebody's ass, like, to me, it's still new. Like, it's, even though it's been going on for 3 years, more no, I would say more like the last 2 years. The last 2 years, you've been ass chewing, and it's still new. Like, I'm still not used to it. So when I see it and I hear it, I'll be like, oh shit, like, damn, she does it. Like, that's real.
Man, he's laughing, saying I'm not, because I'm not. I'm generally a very soft-spoken person.
Well, that, and plus you've like, in the 10 years that you were, 15 years you've been in leadership, you've always been leadership of either yourself or maybe 2 or 3 people. So it wasn't a lot of ass chewing needed.
That's true.
Right?
That is true.
People did their jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's real.
It's a different world where in our industry, there's so many things going on, people forget, and it's like, well, shit, you forgot about this. And they're sitting there like, fuck, yes, I did.
And then I learned to just write everything down and follow up. So they know, like, well, she's going to follow up with me. So exactly. I'm going to get this done.
One of the things about being an entrepreneur too is you don't know what you don't know. And I've learned that statement very early on, because there's a lot of things I don't know. And I tell people all the time, like, hey, this is new to me, especially when it comes to finances. That was probably one of my weakest points. And so then we reached out and we got financial help, and they're teaching me and training me everything from taxes to our CFO to like all that stuff, accounting, bookkeeping, everything, the bottom line, the top line, everything in the middle, like all that stuff, because your decisions are literally made off of you understanding your finances. So when you don't know what you don't know, as an entrepreneur, you have to make sure that you're investing in yourself and going out and getting that training and never feel like you arrived. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And you're always learning, right? Always learning. I think that another thing to be careful of, especially like I said, when we first started this, we were doing it 6 to 7 days straight with no days off. Sometimes we didn't eat breakfast. We wouldn't even eat lunch until like 2-3 o'clock, and then we'd eat dinner at like 9. We weren't going to the gym or working out. We weren't doing anything healthy. So I think that a lot of times we lose ourselves in the work, and we stopped thinking about our health.
And that's real shit, because over the last 3 years, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. As much as we tried working out, like we even went, going to the gym and all that stuff. But again, back to what you're saying, you're working 7 days a week, all day. Your eating is off the chain.
Snacking here.
And then we're buying food for our employees, right? So we buy food for them, and the food that we buy is usually quick so they could keep going. And then we're eating the same food. So when you're in the grind, you also have to, I think we're kind of fortunate because we have each other, because you tend, like, as if I'm going hard, then you'll pull me out and say, all right, come out and breathe, eat, do whatever. Now when I pull you out, you look at me like, give me my opportunity. That's what I'm like, yo, go ahead.
No, because bona fide, there's so many times where I'd be like upstairs and I'd be like, dang, is he gonna come up yet? Like, he's downstairs still working. I go down and then he'd like bite my head off, like, babe, I'll be finished when I'm finished. And I'd be like, so how long are you gonna work today? When I'm done, nah. And I'm like, like, I don't do that, but when I'm in it, I'm like, I'm working right now. Come out. I'm like, oh no. I'm not gonna bite your head off, but I'm gonna be like, don't do me.
That's your exact words. Don't do me like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that feels like. I understand. Let you be an entrepreneur. I get it.
And that's the times when I need to get that stuff out of my head, you know? Otherwise, and then I'll get up early in the morning and I don't want to bug you. So it's like, so I'll get up and then I'll like kind of creep downstairs. But if I had it my way, I'd just get my little laptop and lay it on my lap, and then I just get it all out and then probably put it down and go back to sleep.
1,000%. I'm glad you creep downstairs, because we have a whole study to do that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just, get it out.
Convenient, Don't roll over. by all means, if you're in business with your spouse, do not roll over and grab the laptop. Even if you grab your phone, like that screen, like that shit, we see that. So don't do that.
He's always talking about the bright lights.
Yeah, don't do that. So successful entrepreneurs, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? How do you let go of the reins, and shit, how do you become rich as being an entrepreneur? The first thing you do is take what you've saved and then you go and invest it. It's assets over liabilities. I'm not taking that from, Earn Your Leisure. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure, but they have t-shirts called assets over liabilities, but that's math 101. Like if you've ever taken accounting, if you've ever taken anything, you learn about what your assets are, you learn about what your liabilities are, you learn about what your net worth is, and that net worth is your bottom line. When all your bills are paid, whatever money is left over, that's your net worth. And if you don't know your current net worth, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, I don't care if you're an employee, I don't care if you're side gigging and self-employed, you should know what your net worth is. And that literally, write down every single bill you have and whatever it took to pay that bill off, and whatever cash is left over, that's your net worth. And if your net worth is not where you want it to be, then that means you need to increase your assets. And increasing your assets doesn't mean buying cars or buying whatever you think is an asset. It's buying things that actually show value. So that's how you get rich. That's how you become a more successful entrepreneur, is not buying another business that, says, you could do, if you recruit 50 people and then you could sell this, and then that's not buying an asset business. That's making another self-employed opportunity for yourself. But legitimately buying something that will make money while you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's a whole nother podcast, to be honest. We're going over on a whole other thing, right? Like the entrepreneur lifestyle and how it's treating you.
That's a successful entrepreneur.
Yes.
When you say like, oh, how's it? It's treating me fantastic.
Yes.
That's how you look at it. You know what I mean? So entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life that most people would not do, so you could spend a few years of your life living a life that people can't live. That's pretty much how it comes down.
Oh, I love that, because it's just like where my quote comes from. It's like, it's giving up the good so that you can have the great later, right? Ooh, so it's like, that's fire. It's like the same thing. It's like we said the same thing, but just in less words. Yeah.
So if you was to ask me, my final thought is being an entrepreneur is hard, it's exciting, and it's fulfilling.
I love it.
That's how I live. I wake up every day. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I love it. It's life and shit.
Life and shit.
Love you.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.